Hello, COMM380 classmates and Professor Mel. In the spirit of International Women's Month, I am going to present an ACSM program as my FMA for modules 1 to 3. ACSM program, a call to action. The ACSM program that I chose is the Women's Legal and Human Rights Bureau, or WLB for short. The website can be found in this URL, wlbonline.org. And what is the WLB? So WLB is a feminist legal non-government organization composed of women's rights activists, advocates, and development workers. So what do they do? So what do WLB do? What WLB does? So what they do is that first, foremost, they are the first consciously feminist legal organization in the country, and their mandate includes other areas and platforms in seeking fulfillment of women's rights. Also, their major contribution is in shaping Philippine jurisprudence and legal landscape by handling cases with the use of the Battered Women Syndrome, or the BWS, as a basis for self-defense and And also, what they do is also they draft some of the bills that now form part of the body of Philippine laws that strengthen the protection for women against violence and discrimination. Okay. What is their goal and what is their cause? So their goal is to empower women through the use of and engagement with the law and its institutions. And what do they fight for? What's their cause? Their cause or advocacy is feminist legal advocacy as a strategy for the promotion and defense of women's human rights. The WLB has 3 flagship advocacy programs under their umbrella, and these are engendering the barangay system, or the barangay justice system. Second is the human rights and policy advocacy. And the third is understanding women's access to justice. So let me talk about them in detail one by one. So for the engendering barangay justice system, or the EBJS, this is actually WLB's core program, which directly engages grassroots women and communities, which aims to make justice more accessible to the poor and marginalized women. And how do they do this? So first, they would advocate local laws and policies promoting women's rights and influencing local legislative processes. Also, they develop and support capacities of community women and their organizations for leadership and in engaging in feminist legal advocacy. And lastly, they also aim to build the body of knowledge and develop tools and resources for community-based women's organizations and local partners. The second program that they have is called the Human Rights and Policy Advocacy, or the HR and POL-AD. So HR and POL-AD this time targets human rights mechanisms like the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, or CEDAW, the Beijing Platform for Action, or BPSA, and the Universal Periodic Review, UPR, among others. And the program also engages at the ASEAN regional level through human rights mechanisms. Meanwhile, at the national level, they also institute legal reforms to make more responsive to women's realities. And lastly, their umbrella program is understanding women's access to justice. And what does this mean? So the Women's Access to Justice program aims not just to give access to legal services, legal remedies, and mechanisms. This program also aims at attempting a more responsive framework on access to justice by women victims of violence, the Women's Access to Justice framework. And also, it enables to empower women by critical engagement and participation, making a woman aware of her rights and responsibilities. So with WLB, what I did was I tried to, with the 3 modules that we have discussed so far in class, I tried to map this specific ACSM and align them with the communication traditions by Craig and social mobilization theories by Sen and Absi. So the advocacy is feminist legal advocacy. And what I saw as the communication traditions under this is a rhetorical, social-psychological, and the critical traditions. Okay, why? Because for rhetorical, as we know, points to artful use of words in a discourse, and this can best explain arguments and persuade audiences, thereby resolving problems, right? So also the communication tradition, social-psychological, it sees communication as an expression, interaction, and influence. So in the context of this ACSM, the mediators are where feelings, behavior, and judgments influence one's understanding to achieve specified outcomes. And of course, it is also aligned with the critical tradition because as a discursive reflection, arguments and assumptions are challenged using reason and evidence. And critical reflection allows questioning to enable understanding of different assumptions. And this also involves power dynamics, right? And in terms of the social mobilization theory, I saw that it is aligned with resource mobilization. Why? Because it invokes the importance of the availability of suitable resources in the birth of a social movement. So, because this theory also says that some individuals in a society have certain grievances. In this case, it's the women, and they may be able to mobilize necessary resources to do something to alleviate their grievances. So, it also provides agencies to empower individuals and communities to take action. So, women's rights and gender equality advocacy, because social resource mobilization also offers convincing explanation as to why in some situations some grievances may give birth to successful social movement. And this is basically aligned with this advocacy is this ACSM program is aligned with resource mobilization. These are the references that I used by Craig, San, and Absi, and of course the WLB Human Rights Bureau website. This concludes my FMA report. Thank you very much.